this is part 51 of A Link Between Worlds, and in this part we're going to be finishing up our 4th run through of the Treacherous Tower.
You said so excitingly right there.
I know. 4 times 3.
Really sell on the video at the very beginning. This is our 4th part, Treacherous Tower.
But what we are going to do, though, and I think we had a lot of fun with this in the previous part, is we're going to kind of continue talking about comparing and contrasting Link Between Worlds with Link to the Past.
What do we want to start with?
We have options.
We really didn't even think about what we want to start with, though.
I think the biggest difference is the fact that we can do these dungeons in any way.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In Link to the Past. And it's like...
But,
go ahead, sorry.
You said like you didn't like that, though, because it kind of took away the difficulty level. Yeah. Like, in Link to the Past, as you went along in dungeons, obviously, it became harder and harder.
Yep.
But in this game, you really didn't get that because you could go to any dungeon, except for the Desert Palace, any single time. So.
I was not a big fan of that. Like, I like the gradually increasing level of difficulty as you go through the dungeons. Almost every other Zelda game has had that.
I did like it. I did like the freedom. I did like choosing where you could go. Like I said, we really hadn't had that since the original Zelda.
That's true, yeah.
So I kind of did like it. Yeah, there was really no increase in difficulty, but just having that freedom of like, okay, I want to go here. Instead, like I felt like a rebel playing this game, and like you had to play it out of dungeon order. That was Link to the Past.
That's the thing. Like when we first talked about putting together this video series, we talked about we want to do things in a totally different order from Link to the Past. It didn't end up working out exactly that way.
It was still pretty different, but you know, similar too in some parts.
I think it also helps to keep the game like a little fresh. Like every time you play it, you do it in a different order.
I mean, think about it. Yeah, if this sequel had been exactly the same order as Link to the Past, that would have got very like boring in my opinion.
I think it would have as well.
Now, one thing I'm going to kind of... Are you done with that point? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about the canyons in this game because that is one thing that I actually hated with the canyons and how it broke off each area. Like, I love... And this is one reason why I hate Oracle of Ages because I never got the freedom of... I was freely exploring...
No, not at all.
Oracle of Ages. And I got that same feeling in this game. Like, these canyons kept on blocking me off. I like to run from one area of the land to the other area without warping.
Now, I think the canyons, like, they look kind of cool, especially the places where you have, like, water going off the edge.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It looks really cool, but functionally, it kind of sucks. You're like, I'd like to have that freedom to go everywhere. I'd like to, you know, be able to explore the whole Lorule. And I get that the warp points are frequent enough that it's not impossible.
It wasn't that bad, you know, to deal with, but
it's annoying, though. It's annoying. You're right about that. But kind of going along the same lines of doing things in any order and everything is the renting of the weapons. Versus Link to the Past, where you just, and almost every other Zelda game, doesn't matter.
And like we talked about this before, but it's also nice that we still got some items and some upgrades in the dungeons. Like those dungeons just weren't bland, but you know, it kind of went along with the whole freedom of dungeons was the random items. And one thing that I liked better in this game than Link to the Past was you were able to get a lot of items up front. You could load up. You could rent them out very cheaply, so that was kind of cool, and that kind of made it feel like, at least in Hyrule, that you were able to explore more of it earlier in the game.
And I kind of wonder if that's why they introduced the canyons to break up Lorule, because almost every other Zelda game...
Well, it's a bad idea.
Well, I
don't care what the reason is.
But like in almost every other Zelda game, especially the top-down ones, the 2D, like, items have been what have separated the parts of the world.
Yes,
like, you need the bracelet, you need the hammer, you need the hook shot, whatever. But since you can get all those right off the bat, I feel like they just decided they had to do something to break it up. And I agree, I don't like how it was done.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I actually did not like about this game and the dungeon was the whole Skull Woods area. I thought Link to the Past did that a lot better. I thought the dungeon Skull Woods was, well, they're both Skull Woods.
Well, yeah.
But I thought the dungeon Link to the Past was just so much better.
Yep.
And one thing I loved about Link to the Past was going to the second part of that dungeon and using that fire rod to open that dungeon mouth. And for some reason in Link to the Past, it just felt like we went farther in the woods than we did in this game.
I will say, though, like, on the flip side of that, the actual Lost Woods portion.
Oh, yes, in Hyrule.
In Hyrule, I liked a lot more in Link Between Worlds.
It actually went with the name Lost Woods because you could get lost very easily, whereas Link to the Past is really just a maze that once you figured it out, you knew it. So
it's like you know the 3 turns to take to get where you're going.
And everybody got confused because I think in this game, like, the last one is always down. I remember, like, everybody kept on missing that because
the way you came from.
Yeah, they didn't think it'd go that way. Exactly.
But yeah, I just thought this one's Lost Woods just went better. Like every other Zelda game, it seems like the Lost Woods, you had to choose the right, you had to go the right pattern, or you had to go back to the beginning. So I'm glad they brought that tradition back for this.
Now, how do you feel about the main maze? Like, we really didn't have a collector's like item in like Link to the Past. Like, The thing was, yeah, it was kind of a pain, but one thing that I did like about the main maze was it made you explore 100% of this game, because there was main maze in every little area, whereas thanks to the past, there were some areas where we didn't have anything.
We really didn't. Like, even like Pieces of Heart, which you normally think of, or Skulltulas and some of the other games, are what you think of as being the collector's things. But Link to the Past didn't really have that. So the main maze, I think 100 was a little much. I mean, it worked out to get like the upgrades for all your items, which I thought was another, and not to go too far off topic from the main maze, but I thought was another...
We're going off topic on this whole video, so it doesn't really matter now.
I thought that was another nice touch to separate this game from Link to the Past, was being able to upgrade every item.
I might switch in mid-sentence. Yeah, I might start talking off on another subject.
And you go, yeah.
You know, like, that's kind of like in the whole storyline and everything. Like, you know, in this game you had, like, Yuga and Yuga Ganon versus, like, you know, Aghanim and Ganon. Like, which one did you like? You know, what reasons?
I think I was a bigger fan of Aghanim, to be honest, like, because it turns out, like, when you when you beat Aghanim in Link to the Past, like, it turns out he was just like
if they not played, dude, that game was I can't even count how many years ago that was released.
I mean, we probably spoiled enough stuff in that game just in these last two video parts, but like that, it turns out it was like Ganon like controlling him the whole time. Whereas I feel like here in Link Between Worlds, rather, Yuga has his own. He's his own person. He's his own motives.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like Yuga and Yuga Ganon, obviously, they felt like the same person. Like, yeah, Yuga was trying to like mesh with Ganon, but it was really the same person. I don't know if he exactly was saying that or not, but
kind of
in a way. But like,
it's what I was getting at.
Aghanim and Ganon like are two completely different persons. And I like that they actually had a wizard. Like, we had a wizard in some Zelda games. I like how they did the whole wizard thing right there with Aghanim.
Me too. Whereas Yuga, although I did like that they introduced like Yuga as a new enemy, a new boss. I didn't necessarily like fighting him 3 times throughout the game. But I guess 2 plus then you had Yuga Ganon as well.
Yeah.
But I guess thinking back to Link to the Past, though, we fought Aghanim twice.
We fought Aghanim, a couple times. Yeah,
so,
it was twice.
So it kind of goes...
We see him earlier in the game, but I think we only fight him twice. I think you're right. It was twice.
I was trying to think of when we do.
Now, we definitely get a different incarnation of Link in this game, because this game... From what I read on the internet, it takes place 6 generations after Link to the Past. Which my next question is, what's the average lifespan? You know, in Hyrule. So you know, if it's only 30 years, that's not that long. Whereas 75 years, you know, times 6 actually is a pretty long time. But like we talked, definitely a different incarnation of Link.
Yeah.
But this Sriracha Sauce guy,
Sahasrahla,
whatever his name is,
Sahasrahla.
like I think we both agree that's a different incarnation. But it was kind of like. We never had a character other than Link that I can remember where they had the same name, like years down the road.
Only Zelda, of course, would be Link and Zelda.
Well, that's a very good point.
But no one else.
Let's just move on to the next topic. Because the stupid person who's named after the game was, that was just a very, very bad example there.
It's a good thing, though, we're out of topics because we've got to Lorule Castle.
I'm not going to commentate the next section.
And this wraps up part 51 of Link Between Worlds.